Lucas, this is your landlord. I'm giving you 3 days to move out of my apartment. I don't want a disgusting peeping Tom living in my property. My fingers tightened imperceptibly around the cold plastic of the phone. The landlord's voice was like ice water, each word dripping with revulsion. Mrs. Anderson, I began, my voice deliberately steady. I haven't been convicted of anything. The police are at your door. The whole building knows. Her shrill tone crackled through the speaker. I've seen the news online. Blind man accused of voyeurism. My property's value is plummeting because of you. 3 days, clean out your things or they'll be on the curb. The line went dead. William snatched the phone from my hand, a grim satisfaction settling on his features. See, even your landlord knows what you are. No one wants a pervert around. He nodded to the officers. Take him to a proper cell. Let him cool off for a few days. Maybe the hard bunk will loosen his tongue. I was LED deeper into the bowels of the station. The air growing colder, the sounds more hollow. The heavy door of a solitary cell clanged shut, sealing me in a tomb of silence alone. I finally let my guard down just for a moment. A slow, deliberate breath escaped my lips. They had moved with terrifying efficiency. The fake evidence, the public pressure, the eviction. This wasn't a spontaneous accusation from a frightened girl. This was a meticulously crafted demolition. And I knew why. 3 years ago, the fire that took my sight and my family also took something from someone else. My testimony had put a powerful man's son in prison for arson and negligent homicide. The trial was swift. The evidence, the chemical traces of accelerants, the financial records of the building's negligent upkeep was ironclad. But the father's rage was a living thing. In the courtroom, he leaned over the railing as they led his boy away. His voice of venomous whisper meant only for me. You took my son's future. I will take everything from you. You'll wish you died in that fire. I'd rebuild a life from ashes in a new city, under a name that wasn't quite the one I was born with. I thought I was safe, hidden, but he had found me. And he wasn't coming at me with a gun or a knife. He was using the system, using public opinion, using a pretty crying girl to tear me apart piece by piece. Mia Lee. Her heartbeat had been a steady drumbeat. Against the backdrop of her hysterical sobs, a performer's rhythm, she was a hired actress. And her role was to be the perfect victim. I had no binoculars, no camera, but they would be found. I had no computer with a camera, but one would likely appear. My blindness was my only shield, and they were trying to shatter it by painting me as a fraud. Time lost meaning in the dark. I measured it in the clicks of the overhead light, which I couldn't see but could hear cycling on and off, in the distant echoes of shift changes. And the trays of bland food slid through a slot. What I guessed was the second day, I received a visitor. The door opened, and a new scent entered the cell. Expensive leather and subtle cologne. Out of place amid the mildew and bleach. Mr. Lucas, a smooth baritone voice, said it was unfamiliar, practiced, and carried an air of effortless authority. My name is Arthur Vance. I'm an attorney. I didn't move from the bunk. I didn't call for a lawyer. No, he agreed. The sound of his briefcase clicking open crisp in the small space. Someone called me for you. A concerned party who? That's not important right now. What's important is that you are in very serious trouble. The district attorney is preparing to formally charge you with multiple counts of invasion of privacy, attempted distribution of obscene material, and harassment. Evidence is compelling to a jury that has already seen you plastered online as a monster. I sat up slowly. The evidence is planted. Of course it is, he said, his tone matter of fact, as of discussing the weather. The binoculars are a common model, untraceable. The camera's serial numbers have been filed off. The photos of Miss Lee are all taken from outside her apartment window, but the metadata has been scrubbed. It's clumsy forensics. But for the court of public opinion, and a rushed police department under pressure, it's enough. His blunt acknowledgement startled me. You know, it's a frame. I know many things, Mr. Lucas. I know about the fire 3 years ago. I know about the trial of Sebastian Croft. I know his father, Alistair Croft, is a man with long reach and a very, very long memory. The name hung in the air between us, colder than the cell walls. So he sent you, I asked, bitterness coating my tongue. Arthur Vance let out a short, dry laugh. Quite the opposite. Alistair Croft believes he is untouchable. He operates in shadows, using intermediaries. He hired a fixer to arrange Miss Lee's performance. And the evidence planting. He thinks he's covered his tracks. My employer has a different view. We believe in balance. Croft took your family. He tried to take your freedom. We are offering you a chance to take something back. Who is we? People who have an interest in seeing Croft's empire of corruption crumble. We have been building a case for years. But he is careful. He made a mistake with you. The ferocity of this personal vendetta is a crack in his armor. Your situation, if handled correctly, can draw him out into the open. He placed something on the bed next to me. A folder. This is a retainer agreement. I am your lawyer now. My first piece of advice: do not say another word to the police. Second, we are going to agree to a psychiatric evaluation to verify your blindness. I've been evaluated numerous times since the fire. We will do it again by an independent specialist of our choosing. It will be incontrovertible. It will destroy the foundation of their visual witness account. Mia Lee claims she saw your leering eyes every night. We will prove you have no eyes to leer. A spark of hope, faint and fragile, ignited in the darkness. Then what? Then, and said, his voice dropping lower. We turn the tables. The police are so focused on you. They haven't properly investigated her. Why would a blind man use binoculars? Why would he take photos he cannot see? The narrative is absurd, but their bias blinded them to the holes. We will widen those holes. We will find the fixer. The money trail. We will connect it to Croft. He stood up. The evaluation is scheduled for tomorrow morning. A Dr. Evelyn Reed. She is the best in her field and utterly impartial. After that, we petition for bail. It will be high, but it will be paid. I have no money. It has been taken care of. He moved towards the door. One more thing, Lucas. Do not trust anyone. No, not the police, not your neighbors. Certainly not any sympathetic reporters who may contact you. You are a pawn in a much larger game. For now, your only move is to be the immovable object. Stay silent, endure. He left and the lock turned again. The next day, I was escorted from the cell, cuffed and LED to a sterile medical office. Dr. Evelyn Reed was a woman of few words. Her hands were cool and clinical as she examined my scars, my optic nerves, my brain's response to light stimuli. She used machines that hummed and clicked, their sounds alien and precise. Complete and irreversible destruction of both optic nerves. She dictated to a recorder, her voice devoid of pity, consistent with severe thermal trauma, dating approximately 3 years prior. No neural activity in the visual cortex in response to any stimulus. Physical examination confirms enucleation of both globes. Sockets are lined with prosthetic implants. The subject is medically and legally blind. The assertion that he could visually perceive, identify, or survey a person across a distance is medically impossible. Each word was a hammer, driving a nail into the coffin of the prosecution's theory. Arthur Vance was true to his word. With Dr. Reed's report, he shredded the initial probable cause. In a bail hearing, the media, ever fickle, began to whisper, "Can a blind man be a peeping Tom?" The narrative started to subtly shift. William sat in the back of the courtroom, his face like thunder. Bail was set at an astronomical sum. It was posted within the hour. I was released into the gray afternoon. The city sounds a chaotic symphony after the silence of the cell. Vance was waiting in a black sedan. "Your apartment is still a crime scene, sealed," he said as the car pulled away. "You'll stay at a safe house. We have work to do." The safe house was a modest, anonymous condo. Inside, Vance laid out his plan. Croft's fixer is a man named Silas Rourke, a ghost. He set up the scam with Mealy. We need to find the payment. Croft is too smart to wire money directly, but Rourke is greedy. He leaves traces. For the first time in years, I had a purpose beyond survival. Using my adaptive computer, which read text aloud at a blistering pace, I began to scour databases, public records, property filings, business licenses, cross-referencing names Vance provided with my own memory of Crafts, known associates from the trial. My world was text-to-speech and braille displays. But in that digital river of information, I could see patterns the sighted might overlook. Meanwhile, Vance used more conventional means. He hired a discreet investigator to tail Mia Lee. A week after my release, the investigator reported something interesting. Mia, the traumatized college student, had made a cash deposit of $10,000 into a new savings account. When questioned by Vance in a follow-up civil deposition, she stammered, claiming it was an inheritance from a grandmother. A quick check showed the grandmother was very much alive and of modest means. The pressure on Mia began to build. The media, now intrigued by the bizarre case, camped outside her apartment. Her story started to develop cracks. In one tearful interview, she described my piercing blue eyes.
There.
Reed's report, widely circulated, stated I had no natural eyes at all. Public sympathy began to waver. Then the break we needed came from an unexpected source. My former neighbor. The unexpected source was Elias Thorne. I remembered him only as a collection of irritate sounds through the thin drywall of my old apartment. The heavy, rhythmic thud of a cane, the hacking cough of a chain smoker, and the insipid drone of late-night talk radio. He was a recluse, the kind of man the world forgets until the smell becomes noticeable. Vance brought him to the safe house. Thorne smelled of stale tobacco and nervous sweat. "I didn't like you much, Lucas," Thorne rasped, his voice sounding like gravel in a blender. "Too quiet. Unnatural. But I like bullies even less." "What did you see, Mr. Thorne?" Vance asked. "Didn't see much. Cataracts. But I don't sleep. The night before the cops raided your place, I heard the door." "My door?" I asked. "I was asleep. Not your door opening. The lock being picked. I know the sound. Scritch, scratch, clack. Delicate. Professional. I thought maybe you locked yourself out, but then I heard the footsteps. 2 men. One heavy, confident. One lighter, skittish. They were in there for 10 minutes. When they left, I heard one of them speak. Just outside my door." I leaned forward, my hands gripping the edge of the table. "What did they say?" Thorne cleared his throat, a wet, rattling sound. The skittish one said, "Are you sure this is the right angle for the lens?" The heavy one laughed. "Deep sound." He said, "Doesn't matter. The blind freak won't notice a tripod in the clutter. Just make sure it points at the girl's window." "Did you recognize the voice?" Vance pressed. "I recognized the cough," Thorne said. "Not then but later. Saw a man on the news. Standing next to that rich prick, Croft. The guy in the background." He coughed. Same wet, distinct sound. Like he's got fluid in the lungs. "Silas Rourke," Vance said, the name dropping like a stone. "Croft's head of security. The fixer." "I have a doorbell camera," Thorne added. "Cheap thing. Motion activated. It didn't catch their faces. They stayed in the shadows of a hallway, but it caught the audio. And it caught a watch." "A watch?" I asked. "Reflection," Thorne said. "Caught the hallway light. Big, gold, tacky. Flash of light on the video." Vance was already typing on his phone. "Silas Rourke wears a custom Patek Philippe. If we can match the audio and that flash, it puts Croft's right-hand man at the scene of the crime 12 hours before the police arrived." We didn't go to the police. Not yet. As Vance had said, the police were an instrument, not an ally. Instead, we went to Mia Lee. Vance arranged a meeting. Not a legal deposition, but an ambush. He caught her at a coffee shop she frequented, a place I smelled before I entered. Roasted beans and high-end desperation. I sat at the back table, my dark glasses on, my cane folded. When Vance brought her over, I heard her breath hitch. Her heart rate accelerated. I could hear the subtle change in her respiration, the way her breath caught in her throat. She smelled of vanilla perfume and terror. "Sit down, Miss Lee," Vance said. His voice wasn't the smooth baritone of the courtroom anymore. It was the growl of a predator. I can't talk to you. My lawyer." "Your lawyer is paid for by a shell company owned by Alistair Croft," I said softly. I didn't turn my head. I stared straight ahead at nothing. "When you go to prison for perjury and filing a false police report, that lawyer will vanish. Croft will cut the strings. You'll be alone." "I don't know what you're talking about." Her voice trembled. A performer losing her script. Vance slid a tablet across the table. "We have audio of Silas Rourke breaking into Lucas's apartment. We have the bank records of your sudden inheritance. And we have Dr. Reed's medical report proving Lucas couldn't have seen you if he wanted to." Silence. Then, the sound of a ceramic mug rattling against the table. "Here is the offer," Vance continued. "We don't want you. We want the man who hired you. You recant. You tell the district attorney that Rourke coerced you. You give us the texts, the emails, the location of the burner phone he gave you." "He'll kill me," she whispered. It wasn't hyperbole. It was a statement of fact. "He's going to discard you regardless," I said. "You're a loose end, Mia. A liability. Do you think a man who burns down buildings worries about one college student?" I heard the rustle of fabric as she reached into her bag. The slide of a phone across the table. "The passcode is 8842, she said, her voice barely audible. He made me practice the crying. He made me watch videos of victims. He said if I didn't do it, he'd send the photos to my parents. Photos I didn't know he took." The irony was bitter, like bile. She was a victim of voyeurism, just not by me. The counterstrike was swift. 2 days after Mia flipped, the safe house was compromised. It was 3 a.m. I was awake, listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the distant traffic of the city. Vance was gone, meeting with his mysterious employers. The sound was subtle, the magnetic lock on the front door disengaging. No beep, just the heavy clunk of the deadbolt sliding back electronically. Someone had hacked the system. I didn't panic. Panic is a chaotic noise. Survival is a rhythm. I rolled off the sofa, my bare feet silent on the hardwood. I counted the steps to the breaker box in the hallway. 4, 5, 6. The door opened. 2 sets of footsteps. Soft-soled tactical boots. The smell of gun oil and ozone. Clear the rooms, a voice whispered. Rourke. I know that wet, congested rasp anywhere. I reached the breaker box. I didn't flip the switches. I ripped the entire panel cover off and yanked the master main. The hum of the fridge died. The ambient light from the street lamps outside was filtered through heavy blackout curtains. The condo plunged into absolute darkness. For them, it was a catastrophe. For me, it was Tuesday. Flashlights. Rourke hissed. I moved. I knew the geography of this room down to the inch. I had walked it 100 times in my mind. 3 steps left. Kitchen island. Knife block. I grabbed the longest blade, a chef's knife. He cut the power, the second man said. Where is he? Stay near the wall, Rourke commanded. I crouched behind the kitchen island. I controlled my breathing, slowing my heart rate until I was a ghost. I heard the click of tactical lights, beams cutting through the dark, but they were narrow. They created tunnel vision. The second man was closer. I heard the fabric of his tactical vest rub against the wall. He was moving toward the kitchen. I grabbed a heavy glass jar of pasta sauce from the counter and rolled it across the floor toward the living room. Rumble thud. Over there, the second man shouted. He fired. 3 suppressed shots.
PFFT, PFFT, PFFT.
The jar shattered. He moved toward the noise. He broke formation. I stood up. He was passing right in front of the island. I could smell him, acrid sweat.
I didn't need to see him.
I sensed the displacement of air. I swung the knife, not to kill, but to disable. I aimed low. The blade bit deep into the quadricep. He screamed, a high-pitched, shocked sound, and his leg buckled. The gun clattered to the floor. Damn it,
Rourke roared.
He sprayed fire blindly into the room. Bullets chewed into the drywall, sending dust raining down on me. I dropped to the floor, crawling. The dust tasted like chalk. Come out, Lucas, Rourke shouted. You can't hide forever. I'm not hiding, I said. My voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere in the dark. I'm hunting. I had one advantage left. The smart home hub. Vance had set it up. I pulled the voice remote from my pocket. System, I said calmly. Volume maximum. Playlist, death metal. The speakers exploded with noise. Drums like artillery fire, guitars like chainsaws. Rourke screamed something, but the sound was swallowed by the chaos. His hearing was gone. His communication with his partner was severed. I moved through the sonic storm. I knew where Rourke was standing by the muzzle flashes I couldn't see, but could feel the pressure waves of the shots. I flanked him. I came up behind him. He was backing up, trying to find a wall. I didn't use the knife. I used the cane I had left by the door. I swung it with all the torque of my upper body, aiming for where his knee should be. Crack. Bone gave way. Rourke went down, howling, his gun sliding away. I was on him instantly, my knee pressing into his throat, the knife tip resting against his eye socket. Tell your boss, I whispered into his ear, that he missed. Vance arrived 10 minutes later with a cleanup crew that looked suspiciously like government agents. They zip-tied Rourke and his partner. You're bleeding, Vance noted. I touched my cheek. A graze from a bullet or a splinter of wood.
I've fine.
Rourke talks. He will, Vance said grimly. But we have a problem. Croft knows Rourke failed. He's going to run. He has a private jet fueled at Teterboro. If he leaves the country, he's gone forever. No extradition treaties, where he's going. We can't let him leave, I said. The police are moving too slow, Vance said. The DA is still processing the warrant based on Mia's testimony. By the time they get to his estate, he'll be airborne. Then we make him stay, I said. We make him come to us. Vance paused.
How?
Ego, I said. He hates me. Not because I testified, but because I survived. Because I'm broken and I still beat his son. If he thinks I have something he needs, or if he thinks he can finish the job himself. It's too dangerous, Lucas. He took my eyes, Vance. He took my wife. He took my daughter. I am not letting him take his retirement in the Caribbean. I formulated the plan. I would use the one thing Croft couldn't resist. The proof of his own sins. I recorded a video. Just me, sitting in the dark, holding a lighter. Hello, Alistair, I said to the camera. Rourke talked. I have the ledger. The one you thought was burned in the fire 3 years ago. The one that proves you ordered the arson that killed my family to collect the insurance money. I'm at the ruins, where my house used to be. Come and get it, or I live stream it to the world in 1 hour. It was a bluff. The ledger was ashes. But Croft was paranoid. He knew there were loose ends. And the thought of me, the blind man, holding the smoking gun in the graveyard he created, he wouldn't be able to resist. The site of my old home was a scar on the city block. A fenced-off pit of concrete and blackened timber, overgrown with weeds. The city hadn't cleared it yet due to the ongoing litigation. It was a moonless night.
Perfect.
Vance was positioned on the roof of the adjacent building with a directional microphone and a high-powered rifle. "I have eyes on the perimeter," he said through the earpiece. "Police are 5 minutes out." I told him shots fired. "Don't shoot unless he's about to kill me," I whispered. "I need him to confess on the wire." "He's here," Vance said. "Black SUV. Just him. He's arrogant enough to come alone." I heard the car door slam. The crunch of expensive Italian leather shoes on gravel and broken glass. I sat on a piece of crumbled foundation, the lighter in my hand. "Lucas," Alistair Croft's voice called out. It was smooth, cultured, and rotting with malice. "You look terrible. You look like a man running out of time," I replied, not turning my head. "Give me the ledger." "It's in the bag." I gestured to a duffel bag at my feet. "But first, I want to know."
Why?
"Why my family? We were nobodies to you."
Croft laughed.
A low, dry sound. He stepped closer. I could smell his cologne, sandalwood, and money. "It wasn't about you," Croft said. "It was the land. Your building refused to sell. I needed the zoning for the plaza. My son, he was just overzealous with the gasoline. It was a business decision, Lucas. Collateral damage." "My daughter was 5 years old," I said, my voice trembling. "That's not business." "It is to men like me."
He was close now.
"Maybe 10 feet. You small people, you think your lives matter. You're ants. I step on you, and I don't look at my shoe."
"You admitted it," I said.
"You ordered the fire. Who's going to hear?" Croft sneered.
"You? Rourke is gone.
"The girl is discredited. And you're about to have a tragic accident.
Suicide, I think."
Overcome with grief at the sight of your trauma." I heard the slide of a pistol. "Vance," I whispered. "Nothing." "Vance." Static in my ear. "A jammer." Croft had brought a signal jammer. "Talking to your imaginary friends?" Croft asked. "Technology is unreliable, Lucas. Like eyes." He clicked the safety off. I didn't wait. I flicked the lighter open and dropped it. Not into the bag, but onto the ground. I had spent the last hour soaking the weeds and the old timber around me in accelerant.
Whoosh.
A ring of fire erupted around us instantly. The heat was a physical blow. Croft screamed and stumbled back. "Are you insane?" "I was born in fire, Alistair," I shouted, standing up. "Welcome to my world." The smoke billowed, thick and choking. For him, the world was now a confusing blur of orange flame and stinging smoke. He was coughing, blinded. For me, nothing had changed. I could hear his panicked breathing. I could hear the shuffle of his feet as he tried to back away from the heat. He fired the gun wildly.
Bang. Bang.
The bullets whizzed past, wide of the mark. He couldn't see me through the smoke. I moved. I picked up a piece of rebar from the rubble. He was close to the edge of the foundation pit, a 10-foot drop into the basement wreckage. "Where are you?" he screamed. I stepped through the flames. The heat seared my skin, but I didn't stop. I swung the rebar. It connected with his wrist. The gun flew into the fire. He grappled with me. He was strong, fueled by panic. His hands clawed at my face, trying to gouge the eyes I didn't have. "You're nothing," he shrieked. "I am the consequences of your actions." I gritted out. I twisted his arm, using his momentum against him. I drove him backward. He hit the edge. His heels crumbled the concrete. "No," he pleaded. "I can pay you. Anything." "I don't want your money," I said. "I want your future." I shoved him. He fell. There was a short scream, then a sickening crunch as he hit the debris below. Silence returned, save for the crackling of the flames. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting louder. The hospital room was quiet. The burns on my arms were bandaged. Vance sat in the chair. "You cut it close," Vance said. "The police found him in the pit. Broken legs, shattered pelvis. And the recording survived. The jammer blocked the transmission to me, but your phone was recording locally to the cloud before the fire melted it. Is it enough? Confession of murder? Attempted murder of a witness? Arson? Racketeering? It's enough to put him away for 3 lifetimes. His assets are frozen. The employer is dismantling his empire as we speak. His son will rot in prison, and now Daddy will join him. And Mia? Witness protection. She's starting over." I nodded, leaning back against the pillows. "And you? Who are you really, Vance?" I heard him smile. "Just a man who believes in balance. My work here is done. The retainer is paid in full." He stood up. "By the way, the landlord called. Mrs. Anderson." "Let me guess," I said. "She wants me out immediately. She wants to know if you'll renew your lease." Apparently, having a local hero in the building drives up property value. I laughed. It hurt my chest, but it felt good. "Tell her no," I said. "I'm looking for a place with a view. Maybe by the ocean. I like the sound of the waves." 6 months later. The sea air was salt and brine, cleaning out the last of the smoke from my lungs. I sat on the deck of a small cottage, my fingers tracing the braille lines of a book. I wasn't hiding anymore. I wasn't Lucas the victim, or Lucas the witness. I heard footsteps on the wooden stairs. Light, hesitant. Mr. Lucas? A young voice. A delivery kid. Yes. Package for you. Sender just says AV. I signed for it. Inside the box was a small, heavy object. I ran my fingers over it. A pair of sunglasses. And a note in braille. The world is full of monsters, Lucas. Keep watching. I put the glasses on. The darkness was the same as it always was. But for the first time in years, it didn't feel like a prison. It felt like a domain. And I was the king.